Good afternoon. My name is Lesah Denny-Brathwaite, Manager Administration at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB. Welcome to another episode of Talking Business with ICAB. Last week, we delved into the audits of financial statements and what non-accountants should know about the process. For non-accountants, it's important to understand that audits are just one type of assurance service. Assurance services are independent evaluations performed by a chartered accountant to improve the reliability of information for decision makers. This could apply to financial information, non-financial data, or even systems and processes. An audit is the highest level of assurance. The objective is to provide reasonable assurance that statements are free from material misstatements. The audit of financial statements is used by a wide range of stakeholders, which include investors, regulators, and lenders. Last week, we explained the nature of the work performed by an audit firm during the audit, and that in Barbados, only members of ICAB holding general practicing certificates are permitted to perform audits under the Companies Act. ICAB also requires its members to have a general practicing certificate to perform other assurance services, such as a review. A review is an engagement with a moderate level of assurance. Procedures involved in a review include a limited analysis using inquiry and analytical procedures, and the work is less detailed than an audit. There's also an agreed-upon procedures engagement. For this engagement, the chartered accountant performs only the specific procedures agreed upon with the client. The deliverable from this type of engagement is what we commonly refer to as a factual report, as a chartered accountant reports on factual findings. It is used for specific needs like checking compliance with contracts or legislation, verifying inventory accounts, or due diligence. The agreed-upon procedures engagement is usually tailored to the client's needs and therefore very useful when targeted verification is needed. There's also a compilation engagement. This engagement gives no assurance. That is because the chartered accountants help prepare financial statements in accordance with an accounting framework but doesn't verify accuracy. The accounting framework used in Barbados is the International Financial Reporting Standards, or IFRS. These other forms of assurance can be utilized by companies that do not meet the threshold for an audit under the Companies Act. Banks, credit unions, and other lending agencies have represented that not all clients or potential clients who request financing are required to submit audited financial statements. Audited financial statements are required for companies that exceed the audit threshold as mandated by the Companies Act, and they may also request an audit for a company below the threshold due to the nature of the circumstances of the financing. The threshold for an audit is 4 million Barbados dollars of gross revenue or gross assets. Note that other pieces of legislation exist that require an audit for companies who have revenue less than $4 million. Under the existing Small Business Development Act, for example, an approved small business is required to file audited financial statements with authorities if its gross revenue or assets exceed 1 million Barbados dollars. And also, under Section 20C of the Travel Services Act, a business engaged in services under that act is required to be audited regardless of the size of the business. ICAB recommends harmonization of audit requirements across legislation to ensure that the type of assurance required is fit for purpose and appropriate regulation is adopted for the nature and size of businesses and companies. There are global emerging areas of non-financial assurance that are growing in importance, such as environmental social governance or ESG assurance. This verifies sustainability or climate-related disclosures. There's also cybersecurity assurance, which evaluates IT systems for risk and control effectiveness. There's IT controls assurance and assurance of service organizations. These types of assurance may be available through our large firms locally, but through capacity building efforts by ICAB may also become available through smaller firms in the future. So again, we asked the question we asked last week. Why does this matter for non-accountants? Different levels of assurance serve different purposes and come with different costs. Assurance is cost based on the number of hours to complete the engagement. Engagements with lesser assurance will cost less than audits. Decisions regarding the type of assurance engagement might be dictated by regulators or other stakeholders who rely on the financial statements being assured. As a consumer, it is still important to choose the right type of assurance based on your need. Knowing these distinctions help you make informed decisions, stay compliant, and avoid unnecessary costs. I'm Lesah Denny-Brathwaite, and this has been Talking Business with ICAB.